All right, guys, welcome to Chapter 11, Section 8. This is the last lecture for Math 108, and I thank you guys for watching this lecture video. Now, if you're in my Tuesday, Thursdays class, or if you're in my Saturday class, I wasn't able to get to this only because we was behind. And also for my Wednesdays class, I do apologize because we were also behind as well. So, this lecture right here will help you answer 95% of the questions in homework number 14. And also, you have to know this to be able to complete question 14 and also to take the final exam. So please watch the lecture videos in its entirety. Now, this first video will be introducing what is called a scatter plot. And a scatter plot is basically a graph that we use to show the relationship between an independent variable, which we call x, and a dependent variable, which we call y. Similar to what we kind of did back in Chapter 6, Section 3 in the beginning of the semester. Now, let's just go through some of the definitions, and then after that, we're going to get into the problems. Now, there are two variables. There is the independent variable and the dependent variable. The independent variable is the variable in a regression that can be controlled or manipulated, and it is designated as the x variable. Also, we can say correlation. Okay, this pen is really thick. Let's bring that down some. The dependent variable is the variable in the regression or the correlation that cannot be controlled or manipulated, and it is designated as the y variable. Y is dependent on x. Going back to algebra, we've seen this, y equals to f of x, where y is a function of x. So the dependent variable depends on the manipulation, which is the independent variable. When it comes to social science statistics, and also you're going to be exploring this in Stats 250, to give us some sort of visualization of the relationship between an x variable and a y variable, we use what is called a scatter plot. A scatter plot is a graph of the ordered pairs, x and y, of the number consistent in the independent variable and the dependent variable. Independent variable x, dependent variable y. Now, there are three different outcomes. I only state two outcomes here, but I'll explain the third one in the lecture video. A positive relationship is a relationship between two variables such that as one variable increases, the other variable increases, or as one variable decreases, the other variable will also decrease. If the relationship is positive between two variables, the trend, the data will look like this. The data is increasing as you move more to the right. If it's a negative relationship, it says here that it is a relationship between variables, such as one variable increases, the other variable will decrease, and vice versa. If it's a negative relationship, then we are decreasing. Going back to slope, this is a positive slope, and this is a negative slope. And we will be dealing with slopes when we talk about regression. Okay, we're going to construct a scatter plot, and we're going to use this information right here. But before I do that, I also want to state the other kind of relationship, and that is having no relationship. That means the line, the data will look flat like this. And this right here is a zero slope. And that indicates no relationship between the variables, or a very weak relationship between your variables. Now, we still want to go back to number one, and we want to construct a scatter plot for the data below between the number of absences and final grade. So we have our students recorded the number of absences which is X, and the final grade is Y. We can say that your final grade does depend on how many times you've been absent. We tend to think the more times a student is absent, the lower their grade will be. So we know that based on assumptions. Let's construct the scatter plot. Okay, when you're making a scatter plot, you're going to draw a set of axes, the x-axis and the y-axis. The x-axis is the independent variable, which is the number of absences, and then the y-axis will be the final grade. If you notice, both of these variables have different units of measurements. So we have to measure them, we have to label each axis accordingly. So I see that the highest number of absence is 15. So I want to draw my x-axis where it can fit data from 0 to 15. As we see right here. Now my y-axis is final grades. And the final grades have kind of a large range. From the lowest final grade to be 43 and the highest final grade to be 99. So I want to make sure I fit in all that data. As we did right here. Now let's plot each of those points. Student A, 6 absences and the final grade was 80. X is 6, Y is 80. So it's going to be right up here. We're going to do the same thing for the next set of pairs. Student B, 2 absences, final grade 99. So that's going to be between 90 and 100, but a lot closer to 100. So we'll put it right here. And I'm going to put B right there just to label it. Student C, 15 absences, final grade is a 43. So we'll put it right about here. Student D, 9 absences, final grade is a 60. So 9 and 60. My hand-eye coordination sucks. That should be good enough. Student E, 12 absences, grade is 58. So 12 and 58. We'll put it right here. 5 absences, final grade is 77 for student F. Double check that. Okay, that looks good enough. And student G, 8 absences and the final grade is 78. 6, 7, 8, and 78. As an approximation. Okay. And this is my scatter plot. Put my G right here. That is how I construct my scatter plot. And if you notice, some of the data may have some gaps in between, but the trend is going downwards as the number of absences seem to increase. The final grade is decreasing because once again, my data is decreasing. It is going down. Therefore, I can say that this is a negative relationship. All right, guys. That is it to question number 1. Hope you guys understand how to construct the scatter plot. In the next video, we're going to talk about the strength of the relationship. We know our direction, but we're going to indicate on how to find the strength and how to analyze the strength of the relationship. I will see you guys soon. Take care.